possibility of an extended bear market cannot be neglected, but we have actually already achieved the target of this head and shoulder pattern here. So that gives kind of a light at the end of this tunnel. And when we actually look at the shorter time frame charts, it actually shows you a possibility either for a retest of the bottom or a movement to the upside around 0.21. If you see value in the video, please do hit the like, subscribe and the bell notification icon to get notified about the future videos. As soon as you see that, you shouldn't be trapped with the idea of going up or right away, because based on the 2016-2017 fractal, if you actually put that here, we may actually make a new low for this cycle if we are to repeat what we have done previously here in this cycle. Say for example the bottom, if you actually zoom in, you can actually see that we actually made kind of similar patterns all over here. If you look at that, we can actually see this and the movement downside like this. As of now, we actually have that. So if the same is to repeat, now yes, the same cycle will not be actually repeating for itself, but it may rhyme itself. So if that's true, then we may actually see a downside here. But what you have to keep in mind is, when most of the guys look at this and say, okay, there is a possibility for a price coming back to 0.1, it will not happen. But you should be actually prepared for this. If that come down, you should be ready to buy. Now at least that's just my opinion and not a financial advice. We have more charts to discuss through here. We will actually go through them one by one in detail and discuss our opinion and reach kind of a conclusion what we are looking at. But before that, I would like to take you guys through some other updates as well, say a couple of tweets and one article. And the first one is actually from Alex Cobb. I'm sorry about that, I'll just jump into this one. This is actually from Nothing, and this is actually in the perspective of recently there was an article showing that the Fed is actually going to come up and use the Ethereum network. So I had friends coming up to me and asking, guys, why is it not XRP ledger they're using? They're going to use Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is kind of a closed network. If you actually see, kind of it's a walled garden. So if banks actually use that, they need to actually connect to others as well, right? So they need a network which can be interoperable with other ledgers as well. Now, recently, if you have noticed, XRP or XRP ledger has actually connected with the Ethereum network. Now, when Ripple actually makes the connection with Ethereum network, it already is now interoperable with XRP and the connection there. Now, this is a tweet from Alex Cobb, and he's actually showing you guys when the price is actually going to the downside, most of the guys in different tiers of XRP accounts are actually accumulating when the prices are so low. Because if you were someone who were here when the price was around $3, $2 or even $1, it was really considering, say you're buying for $100, you get 100 units. But if you do the same, say just $160, you get 1000 units now. So it's how much unit of XRP you have. It's not about how much dollar you have invested in this, because at the end of the day, dollars doesn't matter. It's the unit which will be there for the long run. Now, this article is actually from News BTC, and it is actually showing you that XRP is primed for a rally, and one thing is holding it back. Now, when you actually go through the charts, what he's actually showing you is that we are getting a short-term trend line support here, and the chances are that we may come back, retest this area and go to the upside. Now, yes, as we just showed, we do have a possibility like that. However, we should also consider that there is a possibility we may break to the downside and travel to the bottom here. Now, when we say the down break here, he's actually, this analyst is actually pointing you towards the support area of 0.1440, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at around 0.1. And if that comes true, that's gonna be a big buying stack for me. Now, if you actually compare that with the different chart, time frame chart of XRP, this is a weekly chart of XRP, and when you actually look at this, so we actually first comparing this particular pattern here, which really has a similarity here when we go on a daily time frame. But as I wanted to cover other thing as well, I'm currently using the weekly chart. Now when you actually look here, you can actually see 189 days we were actually needed to complete this particular pattern previously. But as of now, we have already used 315 days, and we don't know if we have actually completed that pattern or we are going to complete that within 3 or 4 candles. Now that's weekly candles, right? So we are not sure yet. So it's kind of an extended bear market, if you say so. Now that's the reason why at the initial stage I showed you guys about a possibility of extended bear market. Now in previous video we have actually discussed this in detail. Say there are possibilities based on previous time and other factors, price fluctuation, time points, and the patterns and the trends, which actually kind of direct you towards a start of a bull market somewhere around August, September, October of this year, or it can even be extended till April 21. Now, I've actually detailed all those reasons why this can be like that in a different video, which you can find the link just which is popping up above. If you want to go through that, you can actually do that. But we are going to jump into the next chart here, which is the altcoin market cap. Now, in this particular chart, if you actually look at the pattern and the number of days taken, it's not that much different compared to that of XRP, because when we actually look at the XRP chart, what you can see is, say, this entire cycle here actually took around 1127 days, whereas this one, it actually took 1300 days. So that means we still have 180 days around. Okay, we still have 180 days. But when we just compare this one, we understand that no, the pattern is kind of getting extended, at least at the end here. But when you look at the altcoin market cap, it is kind of still following the pattern. And if you look at this pattern, just our alt rate based on the time perspective, you'll actually get that we are somewhere here. We are waiting for move to the upside, then retest that area and to break to the upside. Now that's only if we are to continue this pattern. Now here we took around 785 days, whereas as of now we just moved around 810 days. So that's like we are also moving a bit further here. And if we get a bounce here, then we should be having an overhead resistance from these levels. So we should be consolidating here. But when we compare the same with Bitcoin chart, the highlighted area which you can see is the area which I'm concentrating, and I believe that we are somewhere here for Bitcoin. In that aspect, we may actually come back, retest this long-term support level for this particular pattern, and for that it will be somewhere around 5000 or 4800 if we wick down. Otherwise, we may actually start a retest of 9000 area, and if we are able to break that, that means that resistance line which we are being which we are respecting from 2018 is being broken there if we are moving to the upside. And the same actually goes with that of the altcoin market cap app as well. But when we actually compare the same with the XRP chart here, what we can see is we are still way below. Now yes, what you have to understand is when an asset has a potential to move so much higher in terms of price point, then it should also be going down the most. Now that is based on science or what happened in the history for majority of assets which has actually moved so high. If you actually compare it with, if you want to compare that, you can actually compare that with the Amazon stock. Say it went from $6, it went skyrocketed around 106 or 160, and then came back around $6, then went up to 200 something. So the assets which actually moved this high to come down really like this, because it will be so much volatile. So if you're actually holding this asset just thinking that it's going to happen the next week or the next month, you should actually rethink why you bought this asset at the initial stage. Because if you are looking at the shorter time frame charts, what you can see is the volume is kind of reducing, and that's actually a good sign. Because if you actually move into a daily chart and look at the volume, what you will actually understand is currently the volume is kind of building up, moving to the upside. But if you really want to take a look at here, say before the last run up high, I'll just zoom in here so that it will be clear for you guys. The volume was actually going to the downside. It was not actually increasing. Now some of my viewers were asking why I'm not using volume majority of the time. But yes, you get volume when the price goes up high, but it kind of never shows you that. Just before this pump up high, you can see the volume was reducing, not increasing much. And if you see here, the volume just skyrocketed here, but just before that, the volume was actually going to the downside. So in that aspect, what you can see here is that the volume is kind of increasing. So that actually points you that once this volume slows down, go down a bit, then maybe the time we start the pump upside. So maybe we'll actually come back down here, and the people who are waiting for a pump tomorrow will be taken out, or they'll be depressed, and the volume will actually slowly come down. Maybe that's the area when we will actually start to move to the upside. If you see value in the video, please do hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification icon to get notified about the future videos. Help the channel grow, reach out to more of our community members.